So hi everyone, and thank you for being here. It's a real pleasure to be with you today. I hope you can see my screen and you can see my face as well, and you can hear me well.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
all right, awesome. So I'm pretty excited actually to share this presentation with you today. I'll be the one who's gonna start by setting the scene, and then I'll hand over the mic to the students who are with me today, whether from Montreal, and we have people from the GUC, so from Egypt as well. They'll tell you about their clubs and what they're building on the ground. So this will be around quantum education because quantum is a huge buzz today. And we're gonna try and look beyond the buzz, what's underneath it and how to, educate the next generation when it comes to quantum computing and notably quantum software. So I want to begin with a simple observation. So quantum computing is no longer just a scientific curiosity, and it's not just a physics experiment locked inside research labs. So it is slowly and clearly becoming an engineering and a software discipline. And I believe that our education systems are still largely optimized for explaining quantum and not building with quantum. And there's a huge difference between the two. So today, the whole point of my talk is try to find out how we move from classrooms full of equations, mathematics, etc., to hands-on quantum projects that genuinely prepare the next generation for industry, for startups, and real-world impact. Here's a quick roadmap for the next hour or so that we're going to spend together. So first, I'll zoom out and look at the global big picture landscape and the growing talent gap. And then we'll look at a major market evolution, the shift that is happening from hardware dominance to software and application and backed up by numbers, of course, that I'm going to provide today. After that, I'll share insights from the COSMIC Quantum Software Sizing Task Force that I'm currently leading, and I'm going to give you more details about that. And finally, I'll ground all of this with grassroots examples from Quantum ÉTS, which is the quantum student club at ETS in Montreal, and the GUC Qbit initiative, because I believe that change often starts with the students, so it starts bottom up. Right, so a quick word about me. So I'm currently an associate professor and head of the Digital Transformation and Innovation Department at ECE, which is École Centrale d'Électronique, which is a multi-campus private engineering school in France. And I'm officially an adjunct professor at ETS Montréal as well in software engineering. On the other side, I'm actively involved with the COSMIC ISO 19761 that deals with software measurement. And I've taken the lead roughly 2 years ago now as the head of the task force that is dealing with quantum software measurement. And I'm also a participant to the IEEE Computer Society Quantum Technical Community. So at COSMIC, we launched a task force that deals with quantum software sizing. And you might ask yourselves, why does this matter? Well, to make a long story short, because quantum moves into software, we face a basic question in the industry, and that the industry itself cannot yet answer consistently. So how do we measure quantum software? How do we compare between different implementations? How we estimate budgets, productivity, how overall we manage quantum software projects. I'm always actively looking for contributors. So if you're interested in such a topic and the domain itself, so don't hesitate to reach out through the different channels that you have. If we move away from what I said and we start talking about the people themselves, that I will later hand over the mic to. So at the German University in Cairo, roughly before leaving there, so after a quick anecdote, well, it's not a quick, it's a 5-year expat at the German University in Cairo. I helped in establishing the Quantum Computing Club, and that was an initiative from the students. And one of the students, the original people who initiated this idea, is with us today. This is Youssef. that will talk a little bit more in details about his club that he's, he's the president today of the club. So it's a student-driven initiative. And what's powerful here is not just the actual technical content, it's the mindset. So the students themselves, they organize workshops, they build projects, they invite speakers, and they try to learn and teach quantum by doing and not by memorizing. So I think, again, this, when it comes to education, it's the proper approach to take in order to reach, the largest possible population out there. And this is what applied quantum education should look like at the grassroots level. And from the other side, we also have a representative, so the current president of the Quantum ÉTS, which is Samuel, that I will also hand over the mic to at the end of my speech. And it's another strong example led by students, and the community of this student focuses on experimentation, hardware access, the different challenges, the hackathons, the collaboration. And these initiatives actually succeed because they remove the intimidation factor when it comes to quantum computing. Again, because I think I'm preaching to the choir here, that when it comes to quantum, it's people are like, it's interesting, but I think it's too much for me. So basically, these initiatives, they do replace intimidation, the intimidation factor itself, and replace it with curiosity and practice. So, yep, here's the core problem. So if we look at what the universities are doing today, well, they're actually doing a good job producing graduates with deep theoretical knowledge, but we often talk about quantum mechanics and we talk about mathematics, such as linear algebra, algorithms, etc. But many of these graduates do struggle when they face the real system, quantum systems themselves. They know the proofs, they know the math, but they don't know how to ship the actual quantum project. So I believe that, again, this is from my point of view, industry does not doesn't just need quantum scientists, it needs quantum engineers, and the huge difference between knowing the science itself and being practical engineers. And I think this is one of my objectives. Now, let me give you some figures and numbers that I've taken from the MIT initiative on the digital economy, and it dates back from May 2025. So globally, postgrad education in quantum is booming. So we see Germany as a lead. So Germany, the UK, the US, even our own France, and the Netherlands are leading in dedicated master's programs. So this is actually great news. But, quantity is not the same as readiness. The key question that we should ask ourselves here is not how many programs exist, but what kind of professionals they do produce after all. So let us check out the outcome itself. So this is where, and again, from an observational point of view, where I feel like most students hit what I call the practical ceiling. So in classroom, everything's perfect, right? Qubits are perfect, noise does not exist, simulators behave in a very nice way. And then, there's a gap between this and comes the hardware shock, where we learn about the imperfection of the actual quantum machines today, notably in the noisy NISQ era, so near-term NISQ era. So this is where real quantum devices are actually noisy, constrained, fragile, and unpredictable. So what kind of skill is missing here? I believe that the skill is experience. So it's experience. The experience, what I mean by experience is learning how to design the algorithms and the whole workflow that make the project survive in the wild. So yeah, we need to move away from a perfect simulated environment, and then to the actual world where we're gonna encounter noise and decoherence. And Youssef will talk a little bit more about it when he will take the floor later, because his bachelor project was around that, this particular topic. Right, so Again, this is my belief, and this is open for debate. So I think we need to stop treating quantum as a subset of physics and start treating it as a software discipline. So I believe that the market will even cry out for developers who can write production quality code and integrate both hybrid quantum classical workloads. So there's a mental shift that we have to have. So this mental shift that we need is quantum should be taught as a purely software engineering discipline. This means robust workflows, version control, testing, debugging, and notably this, double view on hybrid systems where quantum integrates into classical stacks. So I don't believe that quantum is just a physics problem anymore. It's no longer a physics problem. It's an engineering problem today. Right. So, so how do we bridge the gap through applied learning? So concepts, as I said, they are intimidating because they have no everyday equivalence. So, and this is where Anas is going to talk about his own experience when it comes to that. So the solution is not simplifying the physics. This is something that we cannot touch. Rather, I think it's anchoring learning in applied experience. When students build, they try, they fail, they debug, they iterate, they try to understand. So I believe, following this approach, quantum stops being abstract, it starts being real. So the key take here is, it's applied experience in addition to the engineering fundamentals that we know how to do in our, academic institutions. So I never stopped preaching that quantum should, be the focus on quantum should be more from a software point of view. And I want to back up what I said with a couple of numbers that I've taken from McKinsey and Company and dates from June 2025. So it's all about the actual numbers. So if we look at the market itself, the market confirms this shift. So in 2024 alone, nearly 3 times more quantum startups focused on software and application. So both, system software and application software, rather than on hardware. And in 2035, quantum could unlock up to 2 trillion USD in economic value. So this is driven mainly by applications from these industry, the following industries: energy, pharmaceutical, finance, and the logistics. And finally, you need to understand that I'm not saying that hardware will disappear. No, hardware still attracts attention, but I think value is expected to move heavily towards software services over the next decade. So by 2040, the projections, they say that the internal quantum market could approach 200 billion USD. So I think I'm preaching to the choir again when I say education, and also this is me as my researcher, this researcher in me speaking, and applied research as well, must follow where value goes. So education should follow this shift. And one of the last slides that I'll be tackling now is a couple of insights from the COSMIC Quantum Taskforce. So from the task force, there are 3 insights that stand out. First, knowledge fragmentation. So benchmarks that only part of the story, they do not give the whole picture. This is one. Second, the education must connect software project management with quantum research. So I think Samuel will also talk a little bit about that and how we got in touch, when we started the initiative, the COSMIC Quantum Initiative. And third, the quantum software measurement is not optional, it is strategic. And I think this is what we need to focus on. from now on. So again, I reiterate what I said earlier. If you want to collaborate, discuss, or challenge the ideas that I exposed briefly today, please don't hesitate to reach out, because I believe that education evolves through conversation, and I think we're in the right place to talk about that. But enough about me and what I said. I'll end up with this. The future of quantum education is not to be decided only by institutions or standard bodies. It will also be shaped by these people, so by students, communities, and builders. So I think I'm gonna pass the mic so we can hear them out. So thank you all for my part. I will leave Samuel and Risha, Samuel, Anas, and Youssef to take the floor. We're gonna start with the Qbit from the GUC.
Thank you, Dr. Hassan. I guess I'll share my screen then. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, you can go full screen, I guess.
Yes. Okay. So hi everyone. I'm very Yusuf Adel, and I'm very pleased to be here and to be given this opportunity to talk, I guess, about our club and our role in education. So I'm a senior computer engineering student at the GUC, and I'm the co-founder and president of Qbit, which is our quantum computing club here at the German University in Cairo. So a bit about myself, I do have some research experience in quantum software measurement. I've worked with Dr. Hassan on a paper that just dealt overall with quantum measurement and metrics. I've also had an internship in Canada this last summer, which focused on quantum on soft functional size measurement of quantum error correction. So let me talk a bit about Qubit and why we founded Qubit. I think the main reason Qubit was founded, I think there were two goals in mind. First, I think it was to raise awareness about quantum computing. Most new university students don't really have quantum computing on their radar and would go through much of their education without actually ever being exposed to it. From my personal experience, when I asked some students what they thought about quantum computing or what it was, their answers was mostly that it was something very abstract, something very theoretical, or maybe that this is something that only physics specialists would go for, which I mean, it's not the case at all. Which actually leads us to the second goal of Qubit, which is actually to make quantum computing more accessible. I think getting into this field is quite challenging. There are not many resources online, and most of its applications might seem distant. And maybe other fields like software engineering or machine learning, you see their applications in real life every day. And I think, as Dr. Sobra put it, there's this kind of barrier and a gap between the theory and applications that drive students away. They don't see the real implications currently, so they feel like maybe it's something abstract and maybe more research. Maybe you do it if you want to go into research only. So the idea was to create some kind of environment, the kind of environment that we wished we had, a space where students, I guess, from computer science, engineering, electronics students, even non-engineering backgrounds, can actually explore this space or this quantum computing in a way that's hands-on and, I guess, application-driven. Now, I think education is really the core of what we do. So in our club, we run introductory sessions, of course, to introduce students to the theory. So we explain what are qubits, what are gates, what the main concepts such as superposition and entanglement. But we actually believe that hands-on application is the keys. That's why students, we always use Qiskit and simulators to build these circuits and run these quantum algorithms. So we don't just explain the theory behind algorithms, maybe such as Shors or Grovers, but we also try to show some real use cases for them, so that students are always grounded and know why are these algorithms important. We also encourage strong peer learning culture. So students that have more experience in quantum computing, we encourage them to actually take these concepts and try to teach them to new and upcoming students. This way, everybody gets to share their learning process and becomes less intimidating and more collaborative. So, I mean, one example of this practical application is that we try to come up with projects where we can use, I guess, quantum concepts in new ways. So one of these projects that came out of our club is Quantum Ludo or Q-Ludo. I'm not sure if anyone is familiar with this game, but it's essentially just a dice-controlled game. So to I guess achieve this, we have a dice that is controlled by 3-qubit quantum states. So the dice is actually controlled by a quantum state, and players or anyone that's played should apply quantum gates to achieve the desired probabilities of the die. So you start with like an initial grid with random gates assorted, and then you have like a limited number of moves to get this done. So this is an indicational tool. First of all, see how circuits interact, see how quantum states, I guess, differ when we apply different gates and how we can get different probabilities. And it's also a way to actually use these quantum concepts in a project that our students have actually implemented. So our first major milestone as a club came as organizing IBM's Qiskit Fall Fest, which was a global event designed by IBM to introduce students and developers to quantum computing. So we did this by having workshops and keynote speakers explain different quantum concepts. And we also ran a beginner-friendly hackathon, just a hackathon. And the idea of the hackathon, I guess, was to build something, build a real use, I guess, a real application using quantum random number generation. This was the theme that we came up with for this hackathon that year. So I guess just to show spotlight from one of the projects that came out, one team that decided to develop a quantum-powered model for simulating genetic variations. So genes or different genes, alleles, due to different mutations or processes such as mutations or maybe inheritance. These are, I guess, random processes that you can consider. So to simulate them, usually you use pseudo-random number generators or classical random number generators. But this team decided that maybe we can try our hand at quantum randomness, since it is true randomness after all. And this would enable us to, I guess, get more unbiased data sets for medical and population studies. For example, if you want to study the genetic disease, how much someone settled a certain type of cancer, maybe generating these data sets for later use with machine learning models can give us better results than other data sets which can be biased when generated by classical random number generators. We also organized IBM Qiskit Fall Fest in 2025. I mean, we had many more participants that year. We had, I think, more than 100 participants from across Egypt, not just the German University of Cairo, from all across Egypt. We've also invited very, very prominent figures in the quantum community in Egypt to give speeches. And we also, as the previous year, we organized the hackathon. I guess I'll defer that part to Anas since it concerns a bit about his tool. So just to show a bit the numbers that we've had, I think we had like 336 total registrations. So that many students were registered. I think 60% of them were from the GUC, even I think 20% from other universities, and even we have 15% from international universities, even from outside Egypt. And you can see in this chart here, actually the level of students. So you can see that almost everyone's a beginner at this point, even if they're not a beginner, maybe they're just heard what quantum computing is. So everyone was new to quantum computing, which is, I think, the role of what we're doing here is to actually introduce these students to quantum computing. Now, before I hand it over to Anas, I think I just want to share a little personal story. A few days ago, I participated in MIT's IQ Hack, where I was pleasantly surprised to find that one of the students that actually attended this event, this IBM Qiskit Fall Fest 2025, was actually there in the also participating in the hackathon, MIT's hackathon. Now, I was talking with him, of course, just asking him what his experience was in the event, why he decided actually to join this hackathon. And actually, he said this to me. This was actually what he said exactly. He said, I believe this event might have generally completely altered my life's trajectory. I mean, quantum computing was not on my radar at all, but now that I got involved in this field, I find that I really like it. And if it wasn't for this event, I might have never got to experience this. Now, when I heard this, I mean, I felt validated, and I mean, vindicated in all the effort put in organizing these events, these workshops. I mean, it's all worth it just to read these words. Now, I believe these are the exact words any educator wishes to hear, and I think it's ultimately what education is all about. Thank you.
Thank you, Youssef. I think Anas will share his screen now.
Yeah,
your colleagues.
Yeah.
Colleagues, I'm sorry for the interrupt. I need to leave very soon, and I have actually quite a lot of questions. And maybe just I don't want to interrupt you and Joseph and Anas. And thanks, Hassan, for that. I have just a few questions. Maybe you can answer them together and very brief. It doesn't need that much time. So quantum computing is, of course, it appears to be quite strong and even future oriented. It appears to be a good way to go, and you demonstrated clearly by the amount of startups that it really provides, let's say, business models. But from my perspective, and this is what we learned so far in the last 2-3 years, it's very unstable, the amount of errors occurring. It's extremely expensive, and so the application focus is very, very precise and very small. So that's not that kind of being broad. And also the programming part, and I'm very happy that Yusuf and Anas also pointed out that they're also for software computing or software technology, as we call it in Germany, are also quite advanced. But those topics need to be considered in our application area here in this project. The role it might play is, I would say, limited. However, I really appreciate the way or the view to it, and pointing out maybe some possibilities. So consider it as not critics, rather than something what we need to discuss in the future. And I know clearly that it brings a lot of value into it, but those disadvantages should be always, let's say, taken into consideration as well. If I would go to my presidency and tell them, so we need a software lab, a lab for quantum computing, they would just smile to me and say, man, that's impossible. So
I fully hear what you're saying, and if I may try to answer your question, and then probably also Samuel. Two things. The first is people would have laughed when we talked about, machine learning and AI, etc., back in the day, because the computational power wasn't there. However, the knowledge of it, the idea of it, the approach of it, the science of it was there. So basically, what we're trying to avoid this time when it comes to quantum computing, and I'm talking also about it from a purely software engineering point of view, and even more precisely from a metrics measurement point of view, software engineering metric measurement point of view, is that we don't want to get into that late. We want to tag along from the very beginning. So basically, we learn from quote unquote the mistakes that normal computer, that software engineering came later on. Now we're trying to prep for the future. So what you're saying is extremely true now, you know, about the noisy, you know, the NISC era, etc., and the you know, the decoherence and the whole problems that the technology is still did not manage to wrap around, you know, those imperfections yet. But we're prepping people who would be able to handle that once the technology is mature enough. And to be honest, if we keep an eye on what IBM is proposing and the other, you know, builders, we're getting there. We're getting slowly but steadily. And again, the numbers do not lie. One thing about economics that I really like, I'm more a science person than you know, from the finance and the accounting point of view. But the numbers never lie. So basically, if there's a huge investment in you know, quantum software and the domains, even in the hardware architectures, etc. So this means that we're expecting it to boom very soon.
Okay.
I don't know, Samuel, if you would like to add anything.
Thanks, Hassan.
My pleasure.
Not much more than yeah, the industry right now is maybe not at the mature state it needs to be to support, I don't know, cohort of 20 students per year that are gonna go and outflow into the industry. Maybe the industry cannot support that right now, but it is manifestly being on the growing side. It is a growing industry, and eventually those people are gonna be needed to participate and partake to the effort.
How do you
and
pay?
it's better that they are already or at least initiated.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. Very interesting, very promising, forward-looking for sure. But once again, it needs some push and yeah, and of course, people interested in, and yeah, I wish you all the best for that, and your team. Bye from my side. See you tomorrow. And I didn't want to interrupt. Sorry for that. Just wanted to say goodbye.
No problem. Many thank you, Algif. Have a nice one.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye to all.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay.
Anas, you can probably take over and then try to.
Okay, I'll share my screen right now. Let me just. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so hello, my name is Anas, and I'm very delighted to be here to talk about the role of quantum in education. I'm here to present my tool, my software bachelor tool. It's called Quantum Flow, and we're gonna dig deep into it in a couple of minutes. But first of all, who am I? A quick brief. I'm a senior computer engineering student at the German University in Cairo. I have been recently appointed as a project lead at the Qbit Quantum Club at the GC. And yeah, I'm the creator of Quantum Flow, a browser-based visual quantum educational tool aimed to help students reduce the boilerplate in learning quantum and avoid all the heavy steep learning curve that the quantum is infamous for. So yeah, like Dr. Hassan said, quantum computing is very important in the upcoming days. Its interest in people's eyes is growing. Tech giants like IBM, Google, and Amazon are investing heavily right now, and it's supposedly to solve problems that are too complex or slow for today's computers. So in the future, it's very forecasted to be very important, like Dr. Hassan and Yusuf said. So my journey with quantum and why engineers struggle. Actually, at the beginning of my journey with quantum, my first introduction was that my bachelor thesis was in quantum, but I had very strong background in software and almost zero background in quantum software. And at first, I was honestly intimidated. I didn't know where to begin, where to start, if I should just revise mathematics, if I just revise linear algebra. I was a bit lost. So like I said, quantum is infamous for heavy math, and most introductions start there. So I tried to learn my best by turning concepts into circuits. I tried to validate what I was best for, my love for software. So I tried to mix my love for software with quantum and try to find a way to start with it and turn a very bad experience to hopefully a good one. So why engineers struggle generally in quantum is that the entry point is very math-based, and the concepts feel non-intuitive as first, like the superposition, measurements, entanglement. A majority of people aren't really familiar with it. And debugging is difficult. Like you can't inspect a quantum state like normal variables or normal software. And existing tools often assume prior quantum knowledge. So beginners feel lost or feel like there's a huge wall in front of their eyes when they start digging into quantum. Again, as Dr. Hassan said, there's a gap between theory and hands-on building that slows learning and adoption. So based on my struggles, I decided to bridge the gap and create a tool that eases these struggles for future upcoming students who want to learn about quantum. I wanted to make, like I said, quantum programming as intuitive as driving. To drive a car, you don't need to know how the engine works. You just need to know how to drive. So basically, Quantum Flow was aimed to lower the barrier to quantum programming and make quantum accessible to everyone, not only limited to physicists, not only limited to mathematicians. Everyone can learn quantum. So right now we're introducing Quantum Flow. It's a browser-based tool that helps users learn and simulate and generate quantum code without deep technical overhead. Users can experiment as much as they want, as I believe that experimenting is much better than memorizing. So there's a couple of pre-existing tools in this domain similar to the ones I'm going to demonstrate. The ones are IBM's Quantum Composer and the Quantum Land Quantum Composer, Quark Quantum Composer. But however, these tools are still considered as a bit harder to learn than the usual quantum composers. And many are closed source, so curious users aren't really knowing what's going on and can feel hard to approach without a prior quantum background. So when we built Quantum Flow, we wanted Quantum Flow to be easy to learn and easy to use. It's designed to be accessible to everyone, not limited to a specific group of researchers, not limited to experienced users. Everyone can use it. And it introduced a no boilerplate, no setup headaches. You can just plug and play and use it straight ahead. Also, I decided that Quantum Flow should be open source by design. So the quantum community as a whole can contribute, can view the code, and can understand what's going behind the screens, not just dragging and dropping. So what is Quantum Flow? It's an open source, like we said, quantum circuit composer that lets users design, visualize, and simulate quantum algorithms directly in the browser, no installation or login required. It can actually also generate code instantly, quantum code, so you can understand every section behind the circuit. Once you drag and drop each part of the circuit, the code is instantly visualized, and as we are going to see here. It consists mainly of 4 modules: the code generation panel that we discussed that generates quantum code automatically, and the simulation and measurements, and finally the algorithm library that Quantum Flow has. So let's look. This is what the circuit panel looks like. It consists of all the quantum gates that the user can need, and the user can instantly just select the gate and drag and drop onto the circuit canvas. And they're actually instantly he can see that a circuit visualization is generated, as well as the corresponding code. Once the user generates drags and drops any type of circuit, the Qiskit or circuit code is instantly generated, depending on the user's favorite framework. Therefore, allowing the user to learn how each gate contributes to the circuit, and actually verify by learning the code and having no steep learning curve. We also have in the Quantum Flow a simulation panel, where the user can experiment different circuits and simulate it to see how the effect of every circuit contributes to the circuit. The user can see the simulation, the analysis of the circuit, and the block sphere of each qubit. And new in this is actually very recent. This is collaboration with the COMSIC Taskforce. We implemented recently cosmic metrics, which aligns with what Dr. Hassan was trying to do. And users can now view cosmic measurements for their implemented circuits, which allows them to learn deeper into the topic. And finally, we have the quantum algorithm library. It's a tab or a panel full of different quantum algorithms that the user can read about the algorithm, view what it consists of, and finally, the user can just click on the plus sign, and it's instantly generated in the circuit canvas, and the corresponding code is also generated. It also has a tags like the beginner, intermediate, and advanced to let the user know where the experience expects from them. And finally, we have the export panel where the user can save his circuit, and download it as a Qiskit code, circuit code, download the SVG diagram, or as a JSON. And this is what the whole software looks like as a whole. Up right, we can see the circuit panels, the code panel, simulation, export, and we also have a tutorial that gives the user a brief. Everything here is feedback related. So if the user clicks on anything, instant feedback is given to him to learn about. Like the C0, it has a brief explanation. It has the parameters to help the user learn more about the quantum circuits. And let's talk more about quantum flow's impact on students. Like Yusuf Adel said, we recently had the IBM's Qiskit Fall Fest, and the primary topic of this hackathon was how users can contribute to quantum flow and enhance the experience. Like we said, it focused on improving quantum flow's user experience and strengthening it as an educational learning tool. Thankfully, the event produced 20 plus submissions visible on GitHub right now, helping make quantum flow more intuitive and accessible for users at all levels of quantum knowledge. And participants described the tool generally as intuitive and helpful, especially its open source accessibility. And actually, I want to go back to a diagram that Yusuf showed, which had the majority of participants were entry level, which actually made me a bit happy, because that's what actually Quantum Flow was trying to target. We wanted to mix the entry level and make them experiment with Quantum Flow and see how easy can they learn it and how easy can they dig into quantum with this tool. And Yusuf's evidence, like he said, the participant that joined with him the quantum contest, actually shows that Quantum Flow helped him indulge his knowledge by building and experimenting with circuits and seeing what each gate or each gate contributes to the circuit. And this is an image of all the participants with Quantum Flow in the background. Students from all over Egypt joined this year's nationwide Qiskit Fall Fest and contributed. So to conclude, Quantum Flow is actively maintained with a clear mission. It aims to make quantum development and education more approachable each day, and it's open source and welcomes contributions from the quantum community, proving the steep quantum learning curve can become much more linear. You can try it now. It's available under this link on GitHub, and as always, contributions and suggestions are always welcome. And this concludes my presentation for Quantum Flow.
Many thanks, Anas. That was great. So we leave the floor now to Samuel.
Okay,
and then we will take questions. Thank you so much, Anas.
Okay, let me share my screen real quick. Okay, hopefully you all can see my screen. I'm maybe just gonna move this. I don't know if you guys are gonna see this in the way, and move my notes just a little closer. All right. So everybody can see my screen right now and hear me all right?
Yes.
Wonderful. So hi everyone, my name is Samuel Richard. I am the current president and co-founder of Quantum ÉTS, the very first student quantum computing club in the province of Quebec, and I think second or third in Canada. What I do is also studying software engineering at École de Technologie Supérieure. I'm in my senior year. I also work part-time as a quantum software developer at Calcul Québec. Calcul Québec is a non-profit HPC center administrator that provides compute power for free to academic research across the country. My work there is mainly developing tools to facilitate quantum algorithmic research for researchers on our quantum architecture. And so today we're going to be talking about education and how the club has been going on about it. I'll talk about a bit about competitions as well, but hold on. Oh, I didn't switch, my bad. There we go. So I'll just explain real quick how the club started, where it began. I'll give it a little bit of a narrative tone. Then after that, we'll go about how we treat education and training, what are our motivations, our values, the competitions that we go on, and also what's the state of the club right now and the quantum community at ETS. So it all started with an experimental class given by Olivier Landon-Cardinal, Professor Olivier Landon-Cardinal on the right, and his little crew that took that first class and attended a hackathon back in Montreal in 2022. And the one guy that we really need to remember is the blue shirt on the other side of the table. That's Simon Roy. That is the other co-founder. And Simon and I, we met in 2022, at the end of 2022. And he was really motivated or to organize this effort. He attended that hackathon. He told himself, we need to organize and attend more of those experiences. And to do that, we'll need to assemble. So back then, Simon was holding all of the technical knowledge. I was in my prep year back then, and I barely knew how to code. But one thing I knew is I thoroughly enjoyed scientific communication, and I had a good skill set in management. So we paired our efforts, and we officially completed the paperwork to found the club in January 2023. So it is a 3-year-old journey, and I'm sure there are many things that I won't be mentioning that are worth talking about. So if you have questions, don't feel free to ask away. So back then, my impression was this is a risky bet. This is new. I don't know what's the state of the industry, and this is all intimidating. I barely know how to code, so how can I like dabble into quantum computing? And we'll see further later how this evolved through the years. So back then I was very much in awe towards Simon. He was really my idol back then, and now I think I can say we are honoring his work and his motivations behind the club. So just a little later, I had my first hackathon, and I'm only mentioning this because there's one thing I learned in that experience is that actually anybody is ready for their first hackathon. It is it is probably the ultimate learning experience to be thrown out there and have to tackle a challenge. You might not win, you might not get far, but you will learn. That is the one thing I learned from partaking in my first hackathon. And I just want to say quickly that clubs at ETS are like creating clubs at ETS is actually quite an easy thing. We have like 50 clubs that are existing right now. Some of them are 30 years old, so their reputation is already done. Is something that helped us grow and make our brand, make our recruiting and all that matter. Going into hackathons, it is really made easy by our faculty. So I really have to say that the university helping clubs like that is a really good thing, and it should be done elsewhere as well. So educating people. There are so many ways to learn. Through the years, we have tried different methods, different formulas. We've had what we used to call Q meetings, where we would invite guests from the industry to talk and tell us about what they do in their company. We had little lecture series with professors that would offer them. We would have we would do also consulting. We would have people doing consulting for us. So it is really about growing the community and being comfortable to share knowledge with other entities. But the one formula that really stuck through the years are our workshops. The workshops the first workshop we started it in okay, there, sorry, it didn't switch. So the first workshop we we've given it in May 2023, and we repeated that formula almost every semesters since then. And keep in mind that at ETS we have 3 semesters per year. The idea for that conference is really inspired by the a conference that we had attended where there would be like no technical knowledge. It would be intended for everyday people, and that's what we try to reproduce. So it's the idea is to give theoretical foundations without mathematics, without code, and do a little bit of myth busting. That's my own guilty pleasure, taking on those headlines that we can see in journals and medias, and just give a little nuance and give tools to people to be able to build critical thinking, critical judgments. And that's not only in the club, that's not only at ETS. Those events are public, so anybody from outside of ETS can also come and attend those meetings, those workshops, and learn about quantum. The idea is as Youssef said, is to deconstruct the intimidating factor. Just lower that bar and make sure that people can learn a little bit about quantum. And yeah, the last time we've done that one event, we had 70 participants signed up, and it was part of our Qiskit Fall Fest as well. And we have that second workshop where we go a little further. Now we tackle some of the code. The objectives of that workshop is to, at the end of it, run a program on real hardware. So we provide code, and we get familiar with the operations that we can do on qubits, and at the end we ask people, can you recreate this famous quantum circuit? Be it the teleportation quantum circuit, it could be Grover or any other famous algorithms. But the idea is just giving tools to people so that they can run a program on a real quantum computer. And then the third workshop that is new this year is really oriented towards the mathematics. So this one is aiming at giving very basic knowledge to tackle the research. So it's to kickstart the intuition that will make the researchers for tomorrow. And we teach them the various mathematical notation that it will need. We didn't mention it, but some of this notation is what we call the Dirac notation. And the first time you see this, you might, if you're not familiar with it, you might say, okay, what those symbols are meaning, I don't know. So it is really a good entry point for people that want to get into the theoretical side of things. And so those 3 workshops together are very complementary. They are designed to serve different purposes and different kinds of people. We have the people that only want to be initiated, the people that want to serve the industry without doing fundamental research, and we have those people that do want to do fundamental research and will have to have tools, mathematical tools to pursue that path. And last fall, we also did a conference. All 3 of our workshops and this conference during our Qiskit Fall Fest. So Youssef, you guys had a Qiskit Fall Fest. We had our own in Montreal as well. It was a almost all in-person event. And we had across all of our events more than 150 registrations. And one of the things that we've learned is, and is a beautiful thing, is we don't need IBM to do this event again. We will do this event again, and we have the community and the network to hold and host conferences without the help of IBM. So it was a very good experience learning, hosting that conference in the context of Qiskit Fall Fest. But we know that we can do that on our own, and it'll be totally fine. And if you have more questions or you want to explore a bit more in details of what we do, we have some of our workshops that have been recorded. They are available on our YouTube channel. If you want to see the QR code later, I can come back to this slide. This goes to our event, the Qiskit Fall Fest, but it basically summarizes what we've done during our event. And I just saw also that you can also see the first time Hassan and I collaborated on our YouTube channel where you invited us at ISWM. So and among other among those events or workshops, we also have a new activity that we hold, which is called a Quantum News. So each month, what we do is we gather all the members of the club. We gather and share about Quantum News article. So it doesn't have to be a scientific publication. It can be just something that they've seen in the media, and they summarize it into 2 to 4 minute presentation. But the most important thing is they have to direct the conversation after. They have to have a question at the end of their lecture. At the end of their reading, they have read an article, they have presented it, but they have questions. They must have questions, and they have to ask it to the other members of the circle. And we go around and share about what we think is the answer to the question, or where this could lead, or where this could be applied. This is a very, very good activity that we've done for the new members specifically, because it gives them a way to explore what is interesting to them. Quantum seems like a very niche thing, but it's actually very wide. The spectrum of things that can be done is very wide, and so sometimes people don't even know what are the questions that they can ask. So this is a very good way to give some agentic to people that are just starting in quantum. I'll go briefly on the competitions, but they have there's a whole spectrum of complexity in those events. There are some classical programming challenges that are in the context of quantum. We can think of game dev. We can think of tools that are just showing quantum or teaching quantum, but it's not a quantum challenge per se. We've got some fill in the blanks projects or challenges that can resemble a bit of LeetCode if you're familiar with that platform. We have also industry-driven challenges that are based on actual existing literature. That is the most resembling complexity to what Youssef and I have done in MIT IQ Hack just this weekend, where we have literature and we have challenges that are based upon that. And then we have those open-ended research problems that takes months. Of course, the prize is much greater, but it's much harder, and it's mostly intended for graduate students or research institutes more than individuals. So here's just a quick example of projects that we have done during those events. So we have developed games during our hackathon. If you want to go, we have a Quantum ÉTS organization on GitHub with most of our repos from our competitions. This is just another example of the fill in the blanks. We have the challenge and we have codes. We don't have to write the whole thing. We just have to fill in what needs to be done, the algorithmic part of it. And so that really helps to get an idea of programming without having to do software engineering around it. So managing imports and structures and objects and all of that. So yeah, this is just repeating. Those are just examples. So we've had IQ Hack last weekend, Y Quantum in April, and some other open-ended challenges. And so just a couple of results from the club. We've been doing this for a while now. So just recently, you can notice that there's a 2026 date there. So we've been to IQ Hack last weekend, and we've earned the 3rd place in the QEra's technical challenge. And we've had an honorable mention in QEra's creator challenge.
Congrats.
Thank you. And the team that got the 3rd place was composed of 2, let's say, veterans in the club and 2 total newbies. So it was really good for them to have this reward at the end of the event. And so I'll just wrap things up real quick by telling you a bit more about what is going on at ETS. So since we have started with that one experimental class that didn't have its own code, now we have like a whole bunch of course offer that is dispensed at ETS. So we have introductory, we have QML, quantum machine learning, we have cryptography, and we have the programming of quantum algorithms. There's one caveat though. All of those classes are specialized, and there's a new rule at ETS that says that nobody can take those classes until they have completed 70 credits, which takes about 2 years to do. So it's a bad thing overall, I think, but it's a good thing for us. Because now people that are coming in at ETS, the only way they can learn about quantum at ETS is through our club. So they are probably they have 2 years to do the introduction that is almost like equal to the introductory class with their club, with peers. So yeah, it's a very good thing for the club. There's also an institute that is in the making. Teachers have seen this effort, have seen this club, and thought they'd like to work there. So we have Jacob Biamonte, that is a prominent professor in the world of tensor networks theory, and we have Claude Crépeau, a very famous cryptographer that worked on the teleportation protocol. And so yeah, now the club is stronger than ever, counting around 16 active members at the moment. And I'd like just to end on the fact that new people are coming in with the same impressions as I had when I came in. They don't know what is the state of the industry. They don't know if it's risky to go in there to try and go in quantum, and this is intimidating for them. And they don't know what if they have what it takes. And so what I've learned is like just being exposed and going to hackathons and learning with your peers, all of this disappears. All of this, it goes away. You feel like you belong. You feel like you have a sense of belonging in that community, and yeah, we have two kinds of people. We've got the people that wants to do the fundamental research, and we are trying to cater to those people, and we also have the technicians that are initiated and are willing to put their skill set at the service of the industry. And so, yeah, I'll open the floor to questions if you have any.
Okay. Thank you very much, Hassan, and your team. And that was an interesting presentation.
Well, maybe not a question, but some remarks. What I like a lot is, well, I'm going on a more abstract level, that you actually challenge the system on who is the teacher and who is the learning, and that you kind of flip the classroom this way. And I think it's a very important development because traditional education is more like, traditional education, not looking at itself the way we should, and actually pace up with developments and societal developments. We are late, and education is always behind. And I think this new development where students take the lead and actually will teach us what we need to do, or ask from us that we give them space to do what's needed, I think that is the interesting part of what you are doing. I mean, you are quantum guys. It could be another topic as well, but this is, I think, a structural development that is happening, and we are not preparing our kids enough for this. How to take ownership of the learning, and you say the sense of belonging. I know too many kids who don't feel the sense of belonging in a school. So I think this kind of, let's say, bottom-up education, where you challenge yourself, each other, the system, and actually work together with the industry, I think there is a lot to learn for the traditional education. So it was a pleasure to see the system, how you really do things different and with young and older people together actually flip this classroom in a positive way. So thank you.
I just wanna answer to this real quick. ETS, École de Technologie Supérieure in Montreal, is a place to visit if you wanna see student initiatives and where it can lead, because there's ETS. They went to MIT like 30 years ago. They saw the spaces for students and they said, okay, we want 4 times this. And now we have a whole building dedicated for the clubs, and we have 50 clubs. They are performing incredibly well in competitions across internationally, and so it is a very good. It's very. There are some things that don't work well at ETS, but this one thing is working really well, and it should be inspiring to other faculties around the world.
And just as a follow-up, what you say then, it's just a proof of concept of your when you empower students, when you give them leader positions, only great things like the ones that you were mentioning can happen, and this should be taken as example, so that everyone in the schools would think like it would be a good idea to exploit, at least share this information in schools with the people, even younger people, so that they can see that if they follow this back, and they see that it's not only they will learn something, they will feel empowered, they will become part of something greater. This is very inspiring because it will also bring more young people to this field, because it's the future. It's requiring more and more people in this field.
Yeah, definitely. I would also like to contribute to the answer, saying that in my experience, my humble experience when it comes to dealing with the students is whenever they're motivated, whenever they're having fun, they learn way better than in the traditional classroom. And one of the things that I've noticed is, I mean, as a student, as an engineering student myself, like years ago, especially in the French system, it was the professor who, you know, monopolizes the whole, you know, the whole session, saying theory and saying stuff like, okay, so I can start daydreaming. And then I've noticed that if you create mini projects, if you have been fostering, you know, student clubs, if you create connections and to listen to the students what they really want to do, so basically you have them steer and make their, you know, whatever they wish to work on, make it possible. And this is a great initiative. And again, it's a win-win situation in the sense of, again, I've seen it at the GUC. I'm seeing it here right now at UCU. I've seen it in Canada, and as in, you know, in Montreal at ETS. And as Samuel said earlier, one of the most impressive things that I've seen at ETS. I'm a student of ETS myself. That was some years ago. That I'm not gonna say exactly when, but anyway. So when you go to the dedicated pavillon D, si je ne m'abuse, ou c'est le B ou le D, je sais plus. C'est le D. So it's a whole building that is dedicated to, you know, student clubs, with the materials, with the funding, with the budgeting, with the competitions, and they take it very seriously, as if it's the life is on the line. So there's a you know, a impressive submarine club. They participate in different competitions. I've seen the corner that is reserved for the quantum club. I've seen a lot of things. And again, this joins both of you, your interventions and question is that, sure, you know, I think the future of education is listen to the students, know how to steer them, use your own experience to feed, you know, to point things to them, and then it's their choice. And when they feel like it's their choice, they are motivated to work on it, and they give it give them best, their best. They don't look at it as a challenge, I mean, as something that is mandatory, that's falling top down on them, but rather something that they really want to contribute to. And I think all the participants here, from the students clubs, and they're still engineers, senior engineers, albeit, but students as well. So I think the whole thing is to trust the students, to help them shape a little bit their foggy vision at the beginning, and as they progress in their academic scholar years, this is where they get a clear vision of what they're going to accomplish next. And I think as educators, this is most definitely our role today, especially in this world where access to information is so easy. So they can watch a video instead of coming to my class and listen to me talk non-stop for an hour and a half. So basically, I think this approach is the future of education.
I fully agree with what you just said, Hassan, because our project is related to AI, and I shared this vision. I think that in the future, we will play as educators or teachers a different role. Like we're gonna be like their coach. We will just give them some hints, and I think that with AI, they will be able to make it by just motivating them and just trying to guide them. I think this is a good model, and this is very inspiring. What just you've been talking about. I would like to thank all of you. It was really inspiring. Thank you, guys.
That's
great.
great.
Add on to that, I've had students in their first years, just a first year student in the university. When you teach them quantum stuff, first they're a bit confused and they think this is way beyond. And then a year later, after they've persisted through, they're actually the ones giving these lectures. They're actually the ones teaching these workshops. And then first years come to them, and they just can't imagine how maybe someone in his second year can actually give these presentations. So this is what you do. Through teaching others, you actually learn yourself. It's not that difficult. You just have to put your mind to it. It becomes easy.
Wonderful. All right, so I think I'm gonna stop the recording right now. I don't know, Richard, je vais basculer en français un petit peu parce que ça me fatigue de parler en anglais tout le temps. Je te remercie encore une fois. Mais et donc du coup pour l'enregistrement, tu me l'enverras ou envoie le lien. Ok, super. Super. Merci Samuel. Thank you, Youssef and Anas. Have a nice one, everyone. Thank you so much.
Merci.
Bye. Bye.
Au revoir.